Hello, everybody. Welcome to the news you missed. Today is Monday, the 15th of September, 2025. And I'm going to start off by saying I am now back from the Unite the Kingdom March on Saturday, where all I can say is you have never seen so many British patriots all in one place. We saw families, we saw football firms coming together. We saw children, we saw adults, we saw pensioners, we saw everybody. We saw the middle class. And I can tell you right now, no matter what the media says, it was a peaceful march. It was a wonderful march. Everybody was there with love. And I'm speaking from this because I was in the middle of it. I walked across London Bridge. I stood in Parliament Square. I stood in front of that stage and saw the most amazing speakers come on stage. And I can tell you now, they want Britain strong. And the way the left, the woke, whatever way you want to describe them, are trying to erode and destroy British culture is not happening. Dare I say it, Saturday was a turning point. A turning point where more people than ever stood up and said no more. More so for freedom of speech. Because I can tell you now, there was no British politicians at that event. None of them had the backbone to stand up and say, we're listening. And someone who has caught my eye now, Ben Habib, because I suggest everybody watch what he said out there if you are in Britain, because what he said resonated with me. And he's the only one that's dared to talk about the subjects that the rest of the politicians don't dare talk about. So, yeah, it was a wonderful experience. And I'm here with the wonderful Warren Thornton, who was my co-host throughout the day. Warren, how are you?
Recovering from an 8.5 hour stint hosting a live show, but absolutely brilliant. It was a great event. And the nonsense that you're hearing from the mainstream media, I've been in football crowds of over 100,000 many times. That was considerably larger, probably somewhere around 500,000 people when you look at where everybody was. Of course, the mainstream media are trying to play it down, and they're also trying to play up the violence. Well, there were 9 arrests. Policemen got hurt. They did get hurt because they were trying to stop people getting to the event. What they're not telling you is 5 of those that were arrested were loony lefties that basically turned up, Antifa turning up to have a go, that were corralled, and then they started swinging. A couple of crowds got together and started having a go because they were corralled together. And the police got hurt there, but they arrested 5 people from the left. How strange. The other thing about that, Paul, I do want to say, is when you look at the violence and the knife crime and the sexual assaults that went on at Notting Hill Carnival compared to that event, absolutely chalk and cheese. No sexual assaults, no knife crime, completely different. Over 500 odd arrests at the Notting Hill Carnival, 9 arrests, 5 of them lefties. So let's get into my first story then, Paul. Annalena Baerbock. Now, we showed a video not so long back of Annalena Baerbock making her sort of like a self-promo video. Of course, saying, I am taking over, I'm moved to New York. And this woman, nothing seems to stick to her. She was German defense minister who decided to shut all the coal power stations down. And of course, that went completely wrong. And then, of course, she was the, how can I put it, the defense secretary. And that went completely wrong in Germany. Now she's the UN Secretary General. Let's have a little look at this on her first day in office, Paul Brooker.
Thank you. Abdelhamid Sayam from the Arabic daily Al-Quds Al-Arabi. Madam President, do you distance yourself from the statement you gave when you were Foreign Minister of Germany, when you condone Israel attacking civilian properties, civilian hospitals, civilian schools? Do you distance yourself from that statement? Thank you.
Well, first of all, I would like to ask you, also know here that you cite correctly. There's no quotation at all from myself, not in my former part, not today. Today, I'm speaking as the President of the UN General Assembly and representing 193 member states. But again, this quote is not a quote I ever gave.
So that's what she said, that she never did, Paul Brooker. And of course, people were taking it a task, and asking lots of questions. Then what happened was, just as she was speaking, somebody started playing this in the background.
Deswegen habe ich so klar und deutlich gemacht, wenn Hamas-Terroristen sich hinter Menschen, hinter Schulen verschanzen.
Now, for those of you who don't speak German, she's exactly condoning the bombing of schools and everything else.
Dann bekommen wir in ganz schwierige Themenbereiche rein, aber wir ducken uns davor nicht weg. Deswegen habe ich vor den Vereinten Nationen deutlich gemacht, dann können auch zivile Orte ihren Schutzstatus verlieren, weil Terroristen das missbrauchen. Dazu steht Deutschland und das bedeutet für uns Sicherheit Israels.
Things they wish they'd never said, part one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this is what happens with politicians, isn't it? They're always getting caught out when whoever I guess is paying the bill decides to change their mind.
Yeah.
My first story, Warren. President Donald Trump is backing calls for a new law to hold the media accountable. On Truth Social, he posted a viral video urging creation of the so-called Charlie Kirk Act, named after the conservative activist killed last week. The proposal would make news outlets, content creators, and social media platforms financially liable for spreading false claims and hateful rhetoric. While critics note the legal basis is shaky, the petition has already drawn tens of thousands of signatures, reflecting growing anger over media responsibility in political violence.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the stuff that's been coming out from Stephen King and others who are now backtracking. And I noticed in Florida, they've had a real crackdown. Now, you probably are not aware of this, but up to 25 teachers in Florida have been fired, just in Florida alone, for their reactions to Charlie Kirk. Now, what we're talking here, Paul, is we're talking educators and teachers who are teaching our children. What in God's name are they teaching our children, Paul, if they're teaching this sort of hate in our schools to 5 and 6 and 10-year-olds?
I don't know, Warren. It's worrying, isn't it?
Yes. And of course, one of those things that they teach in schools is the transgender. And of course, we know that 5 out of the last 6 have been trans shooters. And here is the proof that once again, there is a link. How much of a link you can decide for yourself. But this is Lance Twigg, who is the transgender boyfriend of the shooter, Tyler Robinson.
Now, we've got to worry, haven't we? How many shootings out of the last have been trans tied?
5 out of the last 6. Oh.
5 out of the last 6. That
Yes.
I'm sorry, but you know me, Warren. I love a bit of hard facts. And the facts speak for themselves, doesn't it? It makes you wonder whether they have emboldened mentally challenged people. And this is the result of it.
Yeah, absolutely. While you like hard facts, Paul, I'm just going to flick this up because I think this is an important thing to put up so that people can see what is going on around the country and around the world. So in America, if we looked at shootings for people who, the mass shootings that are going on in America. So we've got around 338 million. It's gone up since then. Around 338 million people in America. 191,000 white, Hispanic, and everything else, and around about 2.8 million who identify as trans. Now we know that transgender, that figure is now gone up from 3 to around 5 or 6, so that has boosted the total. Now, if you look at the mass shooters per million, and of course this is happening in schools. Now there's 740,000 people that are identified as trans. That has gone up 4,000% in the last 5 years, Paul Brooker. And if you look at the figures now, the chances of your child being harmed by a transgender going into your school is 10 times any other group. Whether that be white, Hispanic, black, Asian, or total non-trans, it's still 0.1, whereas transgender is now working out at about 1.2. So you're 10 or 12 times more likely to have your child injured in a school by a transgender.
It's worrying, isn't it, Warren, these statistics? But it's
Yep.
all being exposed. We're seeing it firsthand now. They can't ignore it anymore. It's all coming to the surface. Now, my next story. Fitch Ratings has downgraded France's credit score from AA minus to A plus, its lowest ever, citing political instability and uncertainty over tackling the country's rising debt. France's debt now sits at 113% of GDP, with deficits above EU limits. The downgrade follows the ouster of Prime Minister Bayrou after his austerity plan failed. Fitch warns the 2027 election could limit fiscal reforms, while rising bond yields may increase the cost of servicing France's debt. We are seeing more and more countries now going above 100% GDP, which means that they are only ever going to be able to service the interest at best. So we are seeing, dare I say it, countries getting ready to economically collapse, probably because they've sent so much money to Ukraine and buying shots of COVID vaccine.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, this is Macron's last throw of the dice. He needs to try and hang on till 2027. And of course, Sebastian Lecornu, the new prime minister, is one of his personal friends. Somebody who's trying to make personal friends because he doesn't have many left after he's burnt all his bridges is Prince Harry. And of course, everybody's sort of looking at him and thinking, oh, what on earth's he up to now? Well, we can tell you what he's up to now. Very simply, he's wandering around Ukrainian mass graves. Now, this guy's stupidity for putting himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. First of all, he's highlighting the amount of Ukrainian deaths and Britain's role in it. But also, if you remember, he once turned up to a party in a stormtrooper's uniform. And of course, in the background, you can see neo-Nazi flags on the graves of some of those people. He just can't get a break, can he?
No, he can't, Warren. I don't know who's helping him, shall we say, but somebody around him needs to turn around and say, Harry, you need to sort it out, buddy.
Yes.
My next story. In Germany's most populous state, North Rhine-Westphalia, the AfD has more than tripled its vote share to 16.5% in local elections. The CDU remains in the lead with 34%, while the Social Democrats came second at 22.5%. The AfD's surge reflects growing concerns over immigration, a weakening economy, and voter frustration, giving the party a stronger foothold in local politics as it eyes federal influence by 2027. These parties are rising beyond belief because
Yes.
people are scared now. They are.
Yeah.
And they are fed up with the woke agenda destroying our countries, mainly being pushed by the WEF, their local treasuries, their local Bank of England, you name it. It's all coming down from outside bodies. But people are waking up, people are seeing it, and people are caring.
They are the only people in charge of countries in Europe at the moment, Paul Brooker, are just admin staff. They're not actual politicians who actually give a damn. They're just there as admin for the World Economic Forum, for the European Union and everybody else. And to give you an idea of that and how dangerous it's becoming, and people are beginning to really, really wake up, we're going to have a little look at this story because I do think it's important. The Russians apparently flew drones that can only do 755 kilometers, much further than that, to go and land in Poland. And of course, we've got the duct tape on the drones there, which show that they were put together. Literally, they were old pieces of crash drones that were put together, and they tried to frame it as though Russia had done this. Now, the Russians turned around to the Poles and said, we'll work with you. Let us know what drones they are and everything else. Then they tried to say, well, we put the motor, they put extra motors on there. They've flown them in from Belarus. They've tried everything to try and wriggle off the hook on this. Now, the problem that we have here, of course, is nobody's believing it. They had a vote at the UN to censor Russia for sending drones into Poland. 46 countries, mainly Europe, all agreed and decided it would be a good idea to censor them, while 147 countries decided it was total nonsense. And if that wasn't bad enough, this is how bad they are trying to start World War III, Paul. At the weekend on Saturday, while you were at the event, Poland scrambled jets, as did Romania, under the threat of more Russian drones coming over. Turned out, once again, to be completely false and a false flag. But these false flags are happening more and more, Paul Brooker, and this is Europe desperate to get America in and to give Donald Trump his absolute due here. And there's sometimes I criticise Donald Trump. This time I'm going to praise him. Very simply, when the whole of Europe went to Donald Trump and said, "We've got a problem here," literally what happened was Donald Trump turned around and phoned Nariki, who is against the war in Ukraine, and said, "What really happened?" He didn't phone Donald Tusk, and the West is now having a meltdown because the Americans don't believe the story either.
That's brilliant, isn't it? And, you know, Trump wants peace. He wants peace. And how the left are freaking out because of that blows my mind. And we can see it time and time again. Europe are desperate to get us into World War III. This is why they are allowing totally uncontrolled migration into our countries, because they want to burn through their populations in a war. And they need people to replace them because they will become decimated. But it's not happening under Trump's watch. It's not happening under Putin's watch. This is the big boys telling the little playground bullies no. And I literally tip my hat to everybody out there who is working with a level head and not listening to the European lunatics who are trying to make themselves look good. And they're all desperate to be able to say that they got us into a war, they fought for our countries and all the rest of it. It's all pompadour bullshit, pardon the French.
It is. And here's where you're absolutely right. And this is Paul is talking absolute sense. This is a depopulation event. It flood Europe with migrants or immigrants, illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call them, refugees, people who are not indigenous to the country. You cannot jab them. And under the European Court of Human Rights, you can't put them in the army either. But what they will then do is get conscription, send you off to fight in a completely senseless war. Bingo.
Exactly. Anyway, on to my next story. Ukraine's controversial Miratovets website, often described as a state-backed kill list, has added several Russian children, including one as young as 3 years old. The minors are accused of so-called border violations and threats to sovereignty. Russia has condemned the move, calling it an attempt to sow hatred and fear. Miratovets, linked to Ukraine's security services, has long published the personal details of those it deems enemies, including journalists, politicians, and even celebrities like Woody Allen and Roger Waters, some of whom later faced attacks or suspicious deaths.
Yes, absolutely. Like the likes of Gonzalo Lira, of course, the journalist who was killed in Ukraine. There are many on the list. If you go and look at the journalists, anybody who was speaking out against the war is put on there. And they have indeed killed 11 politicians, and they've also killed 14 journalists on that list. The worst part about it, Paul Brooker, is the Miratovets website is run from a server in Brussels.
Oh, isn't that strange, Warren? Isn't that strange indeed?
Yes. Yeah. Just also to let you know that while we're talking about war, Marco Rubio, who I think Trump should get rid of personally, he is starting to ramp up the things with Venezuela. Now, of course, Roosevelt Road, which is an airbase in Puerto Rico, hasn't been used for the last 10 years. Suddenly we're getting all sorts of American transport and F-35s turning up on the runway, Paul Brooker.
Oh, so it's definitely heating up with Venezuela and the war with the cartels.
Yes. Let's see what happens.
And my last story of the day, tech billionaire Elon Musk has sparked outrage with a fiery message to London's Unite the Kingdom rally. Speaking by video link, Musk tied his comments to the assassination of US activist Charlie Kirk, warning protesters, "Violence is coming to you. Fight back or die." He branded the left the party of murder and accused the UK government of failing to protect his people, even calling for Parliament to be dissolved. The remarks drew cheers from the crowd, but sharp criticism from officials who accused Musk of stoking extremism. Well, Warren, I can tell you now, his remarks absolutely resonated with me. And the fact that Elon Musk, and I'll tell you now, Elon Musk is an advocate of free speech, full stop,
Yep.
is saying this. People need to take note because it's a scary time out there, but the light is winning, is the only way to describe it. It's all flipping on its head now. The good are winning.
Yes, and here's the thing: when the people come out and accuse him of extremism, they mean they're saying it's extremism, but it's not their kind of extremism. The people who are saying this are the extremists. They're the people in power. They're the people who are causing your lives harm and they're causing suffering all around the world. We want that to stop. Elon Musk, literally, I said afterwards, I thought it resonated with me. I thought it was a brilliant speech by Elon Musk, and it certainly resonated with everybody who was watching the live stream. And it doesn't matter what the political class are so out of touch with the ordinary people, they don't have the first clue, and they'll come out with all these, they'll come out with all sorts of fancy rhetoric. The end of the day doesn't matter because it is beginning to become to a point where we fight back, and you're absolutely right. And my last story is about somebody who fought. This, of course, it's the Ricky Hatton, who at 46 years of age has passed away. He was a wonderful boxer. He had struggles later on in life with mental illness and also drug addiction. But while he was, shall we say, fighting as a boxer, he brought many, many people joy. And he was a person who didn't back down from any fight or any struggle, Paul Brooker.
Yes, and unfortunately, everybody has their demons, and some people can beat them, some people can't. That brings us to the end of the show for today. And for those of you out there who do have questions and want deeper answers, head over to charlieward.com, sign up for the Insiders Club, and you can join us live every Wednesday and Saturday where you can ask questions that are burning inside you. So all that's left for me to say is take care, God bless, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.